of Helmet in the Times, no other than Tessa Mauricio Ariel.
So I gave him his Christmas gift today, so just like that. Direk, hello. How should we address you now? Should it be
Direct Paul is
Direct Paul?
fine.
Well, you are Mr. Secretary, though.
Thank
But
you.
I was just wondering if I could ask you, of course, it's almost the new year, and we'd like to leave the past behind. So just maybe once and for all, maybe we could just ask you, because when we had Toni here a few weeks ago, we asked her, how she felt during the time that, the whole political thing weighed heavy on her, and she, more than you actually, she became sort of the person that people were talking about and at the whole time. How did you feel when that all happened to Toni early this year?
Well, I think what people need to understand, whatever happens to Toni also happens to me. I mean, we're married, we're one, and of course, as a husband, you need to validate also what she's going through. So you can't just say, don't mind it, let it go. Because some of the hateful words, some of the hateful criticism came from people that she really admired, that she really respected, and that she really loved. But to be honest with you, after observing this last year, and take this for what it's worth, but because I like to look at everything like a film, and in every movie you have your protagonists. So I say those are our antagonists. I mean, that's just what it is. That's what makes life exciting. You have a little bit of conflict, a little bit of drama. If there's a formula for failure, it's trying to please everybody. You cannot. It is impossible to please everybody. Study history, study politics, show business. Even the best directors in the world, the best actors in the world have critics that are also very respectable as well. Right? I'm a big fan of Steven Spielberg. Imagine that, he still has critics. And we're talking about worldwide criticism. So, what Toni and I have come to realize is that's their role in our lives. Sila ang antagonists. And we just have to embrace it. Our job is not to make them think like us, feel like us. That's not what we're here to do. What Toni and I really believe in is that if the people close to us, the significant people in our lives, if we can agree and be happy together, that's more than enough for us. We cannot really worry about the things we can't control. That's just what it is. We're just going to stress ourselves out. We're just going to get tired. What can we control? It's our own little world, right? And the people that are really close to us. But, Toni and I, we extend our hand. We love everybody. I mean, we have kind of taken a step back and we understand where all that's coming from. That's fine. Everyone is entitled to that. That's what a democracy is. That's what freedom of speech is. Everyone has the right to voice it out. But does it mean we can't work together? I beg to differ. I believe we still can. To be honest with you, in my upcoming slate of 1017 and Tin Can, there are some directors and writers that voted for other groups. But we can come to my office and work together, so it's possible, man. If you want to work with me, my doors are open. If you don't want to work with me, I respect that. I think that's a universal rule, even without politics, religion, or anything. I mean, it's just the way the world works. I choose to see the talent in people. I don't choose to see in their lifestyle. Because I'll be honest with you guys, nobody is perfect. We all have skeletons in our closet. We all have this and that. But what I choose to see is the talent. If I feel this director, this writer is great for this project, I'm not gonna go on his feed or Google this. I ganito siya, I voted for like this. Oh, she likes this. No. I see the vision in this director. Kaya, this is the best person for this film. It doesn't have anything to do with political, spiritual, even gender beliefs. I want to work with everybody. And if they want to work with me, my doors are open. Because I really believe, like I said earlier, the best stories, the best things creative come from a group of people that can disagree, but agree on one thing, and that's telling the best story possible.
How do you stay so positive despite it all? because politics is really, different. It's about even worse. It's more hurtful. It's more, people there.
Yes.
Yes. How do you stay positive like you are now and see the good side of people?
It's really my family. It's my wife and my son. Um, I guess I would probably be affected if my personal life started changing for the worse. But I really believe I'm living my best life now. And yeah, I made some decisions that maybe some of my friends in the industry didn't agree with. But so did they. They made decisions too that I didn't agree with. It's two sides of the coin. But from my perspective, I feel like I'm at the best place right now. And I'm not just saying it's politically. I'm not just saying it because of my work. I'm just saying it with my family. We're at peace, and we choose to live at peace. And I really believe, naman, that 2023 majority, maybe not all. I can't speak for everyone. We'll leave it behind. I really believe in this saying. Let's live in the present, working together for a greater future. I think that's all we can really do. Whatever happened yesterday, 10, 20, 30 years ago, it's in the past. And let's just let the experiences and the opportunities that we have now, tomorrow, and in the next 6 years, 10 years, let's work on that. Sayang.
So we leave all that in the past.
At least for me, again, at least I speak for myself. I speak for myself. Everyone has their own philosophies. But I feel I want to spend my time on that. Not a sign if I keep dwelling. I'm not saying we forget the past. I'm not saying we don't learn from it. We are all where we are today because of the decisions we made in the past. All of us, right? And we are all, we all have to face the consequences of the decisions we make, good or bad, right? And I have made mistakes. I've failed many times. I'm also not Mr. Positive all the time. But, the simple joys like seeing my son happy, bringing him to school, having interesting, engaging conversations with him. I think that's why I feel like I'm living my best life now.
So moving on and looking forward, we've always said, and everybody always says that the talent of the Filipino is world class. Number one, should be able to make movies all over the world, sing all over the world. But it's always just talk, I think. With you being there, can the industry really hope that there is someone who's going to to get things going, and that people, the creatives, can hope, to get jobs and to get help and, a push towards going international and all that? Can you promise that to us, being there now?
100%. I'll give it my best. At least in my little industry, in my little office, I believe we've done our best in us 1017 as Tin Can. We made a handful of films. Maybe not all box office successful. We've been able to go to Berlin, to Cannes. We've been able to do that in our own little part. So whatever experiences that I can take into this government office, I'll do my best. But I also like to say that, especially to the creative industry, the government, will be here to support. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you. And I think the industry today, even without me, without my office, even before my office was created, you have some of the best Filipina actors making waves around the world. You have Miss Dolly De Leon, who I really believe is just going to get an Oscar nomination, or a Golden Globe nomination. She is just, and that was all on her. And the many decades that she's been, she was, not that many people know that she was a receptionist in the Sunod. She's one of the great character actresses. She also came out in some other films. And look at her, shining a light on the Philippine industry abroad. You have also Soliman Cruz, who I worked with in my very first film, A Journey Home. He started an international film that went to Venice. And of course, you have Lat Diaz, you have Brillante Mendoza, and then you have, of course, a young filmmaker like Leonor Will Never Die. Miss Sheila Francisco, who I've known for 20 plus years. I think if not her first lead role with a young filmmaker making waves in Sundance. an Indie Spirit Award. Imagine this was done all on their own. And then of course you have Eric Mati, OTJ. I mean, he created probably one of the greatest franchises in Philippine history. HBO, Venice, Best Actor. You know what I'm saying? So the Filipino really is the most talented for me in the world. And I'll say this also because I've been to many international film festivals. And why is the Filipino actor, Filipino actress the most talented? Because they don't just act, they sing, they dance, they host. Right? Do you see other actors around the world doing that? Filmmakers are also writers, we're also producers, we're also production managers, we're also production assistants. We do it all. So the creative industry is in a great place. I'm just here to hopefully be that bridge to more support. Maybe be that ear to listen. Maybe I can reveal some plans for next year, but I want to be able to give key creative figures, if they're willing, to have time with the president, to tell them really what they need and what this administration can do to help the creative industry. I want to talk to, of course, a lot of the interagencies also there. I think we can create some sort of town hall meeting with the creative industry. Because we need to listen, we need to hear from you. You always ask, ano problema? We have to talk to the people. So yeah, imagine if that, without the support so much from the government, we're able to do this. And hopefully for the next 6 years, I can be that bridge and shed more support and more development, more light to the creative industry.
Thank you very much.
Direk, you raised the Philippine flag at the Hawaii International Film Festival, right?
Yeah, we were there in Hawaii. I mean, we were in Hawaii, Tokyo. So in my almost 17 years in the industry, my own little way, I've been able to experience also and collaborate with some of the best filmmakers I was able to produce for others. And experience his film, Meaning and Burden. So yeah, I mean, with more push, and I really believe that this administration is also creatively driven. I guess that shows also with my appointment. And the president consistently saying to everyone, ang galing talaga ng Pilipino. That's why you always say, lakas mo, kahit kanino. Because we need to be proud of who we are.
Exciting news.
Because the Filipinos, we are the best. You know? We give the world our best. Dole de Leon, Soriano, we give them the best. And when you give the world your best, where does that all come from? The Philippines. So that means we're the best.
Thanks.
Thank you.
At this point, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of the executives of Winford Manila, and of course, the very generous Joy Soriano of Godfather Productions. Hi, Mr. P. Okay, our next question will come from the amiable entertainment editor of The Manila Bulletin, rather than Bobby Regentina.
Okay, hi, Direk. Robert. First question. I want to know if you have any memorable favorite teachers when you were in school.
That's a good question. I'd like to think everybody has, one teacher or someone that we can remember that helped us. Well, for me, I think it would be, not necessarily. I remember I had this communication teacher when I went to school in Santa Clara. He was an American guy. He kept challenging me. I wasn't exactly the best in class. I didn't really get the highest grades. There was a lot of people there that looked better than me. But he always pushed me. He always told me that something that has stuck to me. It's really all about you. It's really up to you. You cannot blame anybody else but yourself. And that's what got me up in the morning. Especially when you're living in the US, if you don't do it yourself, nobody else will. And that's kind of how it is in this world. And I guess stop making excuses. I guess another thing also that he taught me was stop negotiating with yourself. Because sometimes may goals tayo, like New Year, may mga resolutions tayo. So di mo na lang, let's get physically fit, Okay, I'm gonna get in shape, next year. And then when the day comes, nag-negotiate sa sarili ko. You made a promise. When you make a promise and a goal with yourself, don't negotiate with yourself anymore. Once you start negotiating with yourself, wala na, talo ka. So ganun. So that's what I try to do. When I set a goal, no matter how hard it is, I do my best to go for it. And even if I don't get it, at least I'm trying my best. Not really.
And then, like your plans for the holidays, your family.
We'll just be here in the Philippines. I won't be here in Manila. Maybe we'll just take a drive somewhere south, get some fresh air. But yeah, the family I will be here. It's quite busy. As I said, my office is pretty much every day to day now. We're gearing up for a really busy 2023. So we'll just be here in the Philippines.
Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bobby. Our next set of questions will come from my teacher, quote unquote, Jerry Olea of PEP.
Thank you, Alvaro. At direct po, clarifications lang. Nasabi na ni Mario, reluctant ka na tumanggap ng offer sa dito sa government. Pero paki-clarify lang, totoo ba yung kabali-balita na sa mga ibang post na ino-offer sa iyo na tinanggihan mo, like halimbawa sa NCCAs, NRCB, sa iba pang agency, government agency?
Well, yeah, I really believe that there is no truth to that. I mean, I think it was one of those things where I was just so visible during the campaign of the president. You know, my wife and I were so visible from the Toni talks in September all the way up to the proclamation rally. So parang people just assumed that me or Toni would get a position easily. But you know, at the end of the day, it's the president. I mean, it was never to get a position. We, again, as I said earlier, we sincerely and genuinely love the first family, the president. That's why we're there to just help. Now, all of those other things, I guess, it's just hearsay or just people keeping the entertainment going. But I mean, if you notice. The position that I eventually got was something the president just created on his own. It's not even it wasn't an office that existed. I think it was an office that he created specifically for his administration because he felt that's how I work best. And I never saw this coming. And you know, weeks leading up to it, I remember that it just so happened also to be my birthday. So it was just one of the most memorable birthdays that I've had. And again, just so thankful. Very, very thankful to the President and the First Lady for the trust they've given me and are giving me now. So it's still overwhelming. I'm still learning. But when the President trusts you, that's a big responsibility. So I really take this very seriously. And I will do my best. I told the President and the First Lady, I hope to make you proud.
Sabi mo nga, Direk, napakalawak ng creative industries. Film, TV, stage, dance, music. For the next 6 years ba, makakapag-direct ka pa rin, makakapag-produce ka pa rin, o focus ka na lang dito sa government?
Yeah, my focus will really be here on this appointment. And I think that's what makes my position unique. If, again, what I'm going to do and how I base all my decisions, what's best for the project, what's best for the film, what's best for this. That's how I always settle the things. What's best for this? So if it means me directing it, me producing it, then game, so be it. But obviously I'll be more focused on being, you know, in the creative comms. And, you know, there's a lot of other and greater, even more talented filmmakers I love to work with and collaborate with, especially the young ones. Maraming bago also. So I don't mind also taking a step back and also just producing or just creating stories and projects and just, you know, giving it to somebody else and letting them do it. And there, of course, you know, I'll have a little bit of supervision. But yeah, that's what I'm most excited about, is to be able to work with other great and talented up-and-coming artists.
Last question ko na, Direk. Sabi mo you're now a teacher living the best life. Can we use the word unbothered to describe you?
Parang popular yung unbothered.
Yes.
You know, I think I would be hypocritical to say that I'm not bothered. I am bothered every day. You know, and then I think that's what keeps me going. I don't know it all. I'm not Superman and say, yes, okay, hate me. I'm okay. I also have my feelings. I have my emotions. But you know, the greatest leaders, the greatest filmmakers, artists in the world are some of the most criticized, some of the most hated too. Right? And I think that's what makes great work. If you study, and I always kind of go to this metaphor of how is a diamond made? Diamond is made through the hardest pressure, fire, burning, and then comes the most beautiful stone. So parang if ever that's what it is. And I learned to embrace it also. Because sometimes your critics are also right. Especially when it comes to film or the arts. I don't know it all. And I never want to tell people that I know it all. So I'm very bothered. But I'm also very motivated, very excited, and very challenged to hopefully in the next 6 years do some of my best work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tito Jerry. Direk, yung upcoming concert ni Toni is in January. What will be your participation?
Supportive husband. Si Toni kasi, she wants to do everything.
Right.
She has a movie, she has a YouTube show, and then she has a Toni show on TV. She wants to do a concert, and then she has other plans, So, happy wife, happy life. So supportive lang ako. Yes, yes, yes. But of course, I'm here to remind her, to also pace yourself. This is a sprint, it's a marathon. But if there's something that's great about Toni is that when she puts her mind to it, kaya niya. And I have full confidence that her 20th anniversary concert on January 20 will be something new, something fresh. She's so excited to go on stage. It's been a while for her. Because we all know that her first love is really singing, and her passion, and she started singing. So, actually, before I left the house this morning, and I the breathing exercises, like yoga, I think she's gonna go and do her dance rehearsals. So, very focused si Toni, and I think we're gonna have a great concert at the 20th, and I hope to see you all there.
Direct may production number ba kayo sa concert?
May cameo ba?
Right.
My participation will be probably in the audience, clapping and cheering her on. And what I'm actually very excited the most, if I can say, about her concert, it's going to be the first time I really believe that Sebi will see her perform live. Na alam niya.
Right.
So, kasi when he was 2 years old, he doesn't really remember. So now that he's 6 years old, Sebi is going to see his mom in her element. And that's something I'm very looking forward to. But I'm going to watch this concert through Sebi's eyes. So that's what excites me also the most.
And abangan namin kung kakanta rin si Sen.
Yun lang. Pamigay ng flowers.
Thanks, Direk.
Of course, thank you guys.
Our next set of questions will come from the unbothered press himself, Archie Liao of Abante.
Congratulations Direk sa bagong posisyon.
Thank you.
Alam naman natin na lahat ng ahensya ay umaandar lang kung may budget. How do you hope to implement yung mga programs mo kung piso ang budget mo?
Like I mentioned earlier, I'll be working with the several agencies. Again, my office, you're right, it's a 1 peso budget. But, there's a lot you can do. It's not only about budget also. There's a lot you can do with ideas, with suggestions. So I plan to work with a lot of the other departments. And these departments have the budget. So if they like my idea, if they like my execution, I can be there to help as a guide. I mean, we all know this also minsan sometimes sa production, sa mga ibang projects that you do in the industry, sometimes walang budget din. Madalas din yan walang budget, pero you still can make something great out of it. So I'm not really concerned na walang budget at all, only because I get to work with the other agencies who have the budget. So, good. I think that's what I'm excited about. Like I mentioned also with the DOT, with the migrant workers, yeah, we have some ideas for them. If they like my idea, I can be there to help them execute using their budget for that.
But you would agree with me na kalimitan sa ahensya para umaligan, kailangan may authority din sila.
Yes, tama. I'm not here to mandate or force myself into these departments. Actually, what's nice is a lot of these departments have actually contacted me and asked for my services. So yeah, and I'm here to help and to support. hopefully, bring new ideas, bring my expertise to different agencies that maybe want to see things from a different perspective. So, I'm about, just, be as creative, be as unique as possible. And I know naman I'm ready that not all of my projects are going to be successful, but hopefully out of the 10 that I do, there's a couple that makes a difference. And importante lang yan is just keep going, keep trying, and just take all those risks. If you fail, come back up, keep going. And I'm ready for the challenge.
Segue naman tayo sa movie mo, My Teacher. So, ang collaboration ito sa wife mo na kay Toni, no? So, siya yung writer nito. Kung may creative differences kayo, sino yung nasusunod sa inyo?
Ako ang director. Asawa ko rin ang
Sa ganun
Pag bahay, Toni ang boss. Paglabas ng bahay, sa set ko, ako ang boss. Collaboration talaga. I feel, and I've always been a firm believer in every great project is great collaboration. Any film we do is a collaboration of great artists. And there's that's why I say the best meetings are the ones disagree kami today. But what will settle every debate for me, what will settle every argument is we always ask, what's best for the film? What's best for the story? And then hopefully that answers our question. And I'll be honest with you, there are times tama si Toni, mali ako sa set. Sometimes I'm also okay. And Toni admits ko, ay, tama ka Direk. Joy De Leon, tama ka Direk, di bagay. Pero minsan, okay siya. So it's great collaborators collaborating to make the best story possible. And our best day is through discourse and disagreements. So yeah, yan ang My Teacher. So hopefully you guys enjoy those.
Tanong ko lang, ito bang My Teacher is a comedy?
I like to say drama comedy. Drama comedy. More on that inspirational.
Kasi medyo naninibago kami. Kasi first time mga serious dramas kasi dinederect mo. Kasi ngayon, siyempre, Jody Leon.
You're right. So a lot of my films have been medyo serious, Mandelita, but
Medyo naninibago kami.
what I liked about this, I'm also a big fan of The Intern or Blindside, yung mga movies na gano'n. And family films. I'm also a father, I'm a son, so I thought maybe it would be nice to do a family drama comedy. And Joey De Leon, Toni Gonzaga. So it all aligned, and it was a challenge. I'm not saying any film naman is not easy, but I had a lot of fun making this film. I think it's one of the films where I had the most fun. The Joy De Leon, you're always laughing. I mean, there's a lot of scenes in the film like improv the great Joy De Leon.
But would you say this is outside of your comfort zone?
I guess based on my filmography, yes. But as a filmmaker, I guess you just have to be ready to. I love the story. The true story. I felt it may be different from my past films, but I felt good about this film. I felt good about the direction. It may be very different from where I come from, but nandun pa rin ang discipline. So it was very challenging, but it was one of the most fun I've had in any of my previous films. Masaya talaga itong set.
How would you see the serious side of Joey De Leon?
Well, of course, in his character, meron siya din mga regrets, unforgiveness. I think the main lesson that maybe you'll get without giving too much is that when you start something, finish it. Kasi there's a lot of times in our life na nag-umpisa, we never finish. So yan ang parang character arc ni Joey. And the film tackles obviously about forgiveness, about finishing what you've started. And we kind of set it all in a high school, so which I hope everybody can relate kasi lahat naman right school.
Ayaw na niya natutog.
And how is Joey De Leon as a dramatic actor?
This is proven. Some of the best comedians are the best dramatic actors. Hollywood alone, right? You had Robin Williams,
Doble
Jim
pala
Carrey.
yung kay TV pa rin.
And here naman, you had
Pa Gcash.
a great John De Leon, known for more of his comedy.
Kaya
Tito Big and Joey movies niya.
naghanap siya ng kulang.
You know, he cried.
Nadoble
I told him pa not to cry, iyak siya. And then take two, iyak ulit.
Gcash yun.
So you could feel that may serious side si Joey De Leon. And I don't know, I'm sure all of you know this, but he's a great painter. Magaling siya mag-paint. So, you know, some of the best dramatic actors are the comedians out there. Galing niyo, Joey.
And then, congrats Direk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Archie. We're down to our last two questions. Direct may phone-in question lang po.
Sure.
For MMFF, which is more important sa inyo, award or box office results?
Walang grocery.
Well, at this particular moment, of course, yung box office. If I had to choose between the two, only because as a producer, we're recovering. It's been almost 3 years wala masyadong revenue. We all know streaming has kept it alive, but we also know streaming doesn't pay like what cinemas do. So, if I were to choose between your question, yeah, box office. And then awards. Of course, awards are, we all know in the Metro Manila Film Fest, malakas yung second week, di ba, pag nag-awards, di ba? Parang ganun. I mean, that's just history, di ba? So, if you're able to get that both, yung yan ang story ng Siargao. Yung first week ng Siargao, grabe, sobrang lungkot kami na wow. And then we won like, what, 8 awards?
6.
Then yung second week namin, we hit almost 100 million or like 100 million. In this case, and I know all the producers, and I really hope all the 8 films make money. That the audience, I really encourage the audience this year to watch all 8 entries if they can. You know, because number one, I know you miss cinema. So maybe those 3 years of not watching movies, that's all watch this Metro Manila Film Festival. There's some great entries, unique entries, new ones. So exciting tong edition, I think. Exciting tong
Thank you, Direk. We have a question from Cesar Batinal of Net25.
Hello po, I'm Cesar po from Net25 News. I would like to ask po, Sir Direk Paul Soriano, about your 2022. How was it? Is it then? Alam naman po natin to 2023 is really approaching. Ano po yung future plans for 1017 and Tinkan in future something else?
Yes, of course. Well, 2022 is definitely a milestone in my life. I mean, it was one of the craziest years. No? We were able to feel every sort of emotion. Of course, you all know that was also the election year. But personally, I've moved on, and I'm here now to serve and help the president in whatever capacity. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 6 years. In terms of my 1017 and Tinkan, I have my partner kind of taking the helm there, si Mark Victor. I don't know if you've seen or heard, but we have a MIG-RED series called Friendly Fire. MIG-RED pitched to us a concept, and it's called Friendly Fire that we'll be shooting in January. It's an 8-episode series about e-games, esports. So we're very excited about that because we all know the mobile gaming industry is just massive. We also have 2 films from Fifth Solomon. We have Single Bells, which we just shot. That's with Alex Gonzaga and Angeline Quinto, Single Bells. And then we have one that we're shooting, I think, this month now called 3 Words, Fifth Solomon also. That's with Ronnie and Loisa. We also have a film by Carlo Ledesma, my director from Sunod. He's filming a film called Outside. So it's going to be a busy first half for 1017 and Tinkan. And I know there's other films I'm not at liberty yet to say kasi hindi pa final. But at least for now, the ones I've mentioned, yun talaga for sure I have early next year.
And with Miss Toni and your whole family po, what's your plans this year? Ngayon pong magtatapos pa tribali ka po. Ano po, plano, magbabakasyon po ba?
Christmas, we'll stay here. Christmas, we'll enjoy time with our family here. Toni obviously is working on her concert on Jan 20, her 20th anniversary concert. She has her show on All TV called Toni. She still does her Toni Talks. So I still help, oversee that and help her with whatever it is that she needs help in. And but my son, he's 6 years old. He's enjoying school now, in kindergarten. And yeah, we're just enjoying our best lives now, and hopefully it gets better. And we know that I know that 2023 is probably going to be my most challenging year because I'm entering territory that I'm very unfamiliar with, but that's also very exciting. I'm reawakened, and this is a new chapter in my life, a new season. And hopefully, I don't just make the president and the first lady proud, but I also hope to make all of you proud by contributing whatever it is I can for the creative industry. And I've known all of you guys for how many years. In the next few days, I'll probably set up a website or an email, and I'd love to hear from everybody because I want to be that bridge for the people in the creative industry to the administration. If you would let me be that bridge, I'm here for everybody.
May final question po, do you consider doing films or making films din po ba like what Direk are doing? Kumbaga, yung ganun po concept, yung ganun inspired by two events of what happened before, previously.
Direk is doing his own thing. I think that's the position he's in right now. And that's his right as a filmmaker. It's his freedom. If he chooses to do those films, those based on true events, let's all embrace it. Whether we like his films or not, that's the world we live in today. That's just the industry. Personally, I feel what he's doing is he's just owning the moment, and he's just really taking the opportunity and just running with it. And I think if any filmmaker can learn from Daryl Yap, it's just his intensity, his motivation, his desire to tell the story that he wants to tell. And I think that's why he's very successful at it, because you see his passion, you see his fire in his work. And if, me as a filmmaker, that's what you want. That's what you want. You could probably tell, as a film viewer, if you watch a film, you can probably tell, hindi masyadong ganado yung filmmaker dito or yung actor. It's also very challenging to go into every project and give it your all. So that's one thing maybe I take away and I learned from Daryl Yap is that he's owning the moment. He's running with it. Whatever he believes in, he's making it happen. You have to admire that, whether you agree with him or not.
Thanks, Direk. Ito, owning the moment, bata pa lang tayo, nababasa na natin ang kanyang byline. Walang iba kundi si Tita Erlene Darapadas.
Hello, Direk. I'm just wondering, kasi usually pag Metro Manila Film Entries, yan, pabonggaan. Parang yan ang malalaking artista. So, pinano nyo ba? Ikaw naman, napansin ko, yung 1017, although naka-join ka na sa ibang film pass dati, talagang ang attention is the quality of the movie, hindi yung sa mga malalaking artistang cast ng movie mo. Paano yun? Talagang paano ka makikipag-competensya dun sa mga ibang pelikula na kasabayan?
I don't know if this will answer your question, but at least my style and with my companies is that we really focus on the story. So with my teacher, obviously this story came from Toni, siya nagsulat, and she saw herself playing the public school teacher. So we started writing it, and then eventually we started thinking of Joey De Leon. So teacher was unique in the way where we knew who we wanted to work with, and that was Toni and Joey. Hindi talaga ang mga choice namin. Like, to be honest with you, if Joey De Leon said no, we probably wouldn't have made this film. Because we couldn't, it was really Joey that Toni wanted to work with, or we would have waited. But with my other films in 1017 or Tinkan, we like to focus on the story muna, then we usually do the casting after. Because we're in a very unique position where wala tayong talent agency, we don't have access to actors. If ever, we only work with actors per film. Not like maybe some other studios na meron silang sariling slate of actors na parang you can look, okay, who's our actors? Diba? Let's make films for them. So with us, it's different. We can only hope and pray we get our first choices. But a lot of our films, usually second choice, third choice, because we all know a lot of actors have contracts with other networks, other film studios. So that's what makes us unique is, okay, since we can't have access to actors, not like other studios, let's try to make the best stories so that we can attract the actors to us. So ganun ang parang formula namin. So if one actor was tied to a studio or one actor was tied to a management, sila magsasabi, we want to work with Intensive. So that's kind of how we operate, is we try to make the best story possible. And then we pitch it to these actors, and if they really want to do it, they make paalam to their network, to their agency, or to their manager. So far, we've been successful because we've been, I was looking at my film log, or these actors I've worked with in this past 17 years. I mean, I've worked with Joey De Leon, I've worked with Christopher De Leon, I've worked with Aga Mula, I've worked with John Lloyd, I've worked with
Jericho
Jericho Rosales,
Eric Gonzaga,
Gonzalez, Jasmine Curtis Smith, Maha Salvador, some of the best actors and actresses of our time. Toni Gonzaga. So fortunate and blessed na I get to work with the best and the brightest because we really put a premium to the stories we create. So when I'm Aga Bea Alonso, when they say yes to me, and then they make paalam to their networks, we want to work with them. Kahit paano, parang it just shows that we're doing something right. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going.
Isa pa, Direk. Nabanggit mo minsan nung na-interview ko namin na gusto mo rin gumawa ng isang musical movie na parang ang tandem is Nida Nestor. Nakahanap ka na ba ng pareha na pwedeng maging Nida Nestor at kailan mo gagawin yung musical movie? Sana na pangarap mo.
Well, I'd like to say, sometime in my lifetime, I'd like to be directing. I mean, until I can. But yeah, I mean, I grew up a lot. Of course, everyone knows my lolo was Nestor de Luga. I knew Tita Nida very well growing up as a kid. And it would be nice to revive that musical, that kind of Fred Astaire, Nestor Nida magic. I guess for me, right time. It's all about the right time. In this industry, or at least in the world we live in, when you force things, parang hindi maganda. Just let it happen. It may take 1 year, 2 years, it may take 2 months, 3 months, it may take 5 years, 6 years, but just let it happen. And it'll all come together. And hopefully I can do that musical one of these days. Thank you.
We are down to our last question, and the killer question will come from the controversial Janice Navida of Bulgar.
Grabe na yung introduction. Kinakabahan na si Direk Paul. Hi, Direk Paul. Good afternoon. Yung first question ko, kasi pareho kayo ni Toni na matalino. Alam ng lahat yan. Sa bahay ba, hindi kayo nagka-clash ng mga opinions nyo?
Toni and I are very different. We're very different. And we clash all the time. 100%. But that's what makes the marriage work also. When I do something, and Tony's very vocal also. Why are you doing that, right? But we're married and we also understand each other. Same thing with Toni. She wants to do this, she wants to do that. Like, really? You want to do that? Also, support. I think a good marriage is about two people clashing, but also two people that can understand and support each other, even though we disagree. And that's why I keep saying, I think if I can take that philosophy, in our marriage, 7 years na kami, 7 years plus mag-8 na next year. If what I've learned in the marriage is that here we are two very different people, many disagreements, but we agree to love each other. We agree to make it work. If we can take that philosophy and put it into our everyday lives, because I'm telling you right now, ma'am, on that table alone, I'm sure all of you there have disagreements, but you choose to sit in the same table. Because if we just need to agree on one thing, we can make a difference. So let's choose that. Let's not focus on the 99 disagreements. If we can find that one thing that we agree with, then we can make something great. And I think that's what what kind of defines our marriage and it defines where we are right now. And hopefully, people can embrace that philosophy somehow.
But in fairness to Toni, Direk Paul, yung last press ko niya, she's all praises for you. Sabi nga niya, marami siyang natutunan. So, ikaw naman, what can you share ng mga natutunan mo kay Toni being a wife?
Well, of course, whatever I say, everyone will say I'm biased if I'm her husband. But honestly, outside looking in, if I can take a step back and just, from a perspective of not being her husband, her producer, her director, just outside looking, I really believe Toni is probably the most powerful celebrity today. Only because the criticisms and the hate that she's getting are from equally powerful people. You don't rattle relevant people if you're not doing something better than them. And, of course, her husband, and I'm very extremely proud of her. She's also one of the strongest people I know, right? And I've seen her in her darkest moments. I've seen her being very vulnerable, but she chooses to get up every day and face that camera. She could have easily just moved out, taken all the criticism, and just, go somewhere else. But what did she choose? She chose to create her own show. She chose to make a concert. She chose to make a film. She's facing it head on. That's not powerful. I don't know what is. I always tell her, you are at the right place at this right time, because if you also study the path of her career, she's also been one of the most heavily criticized. Go back to her transfer, her network transfer, and all that stuff. She's been on very high-profile shows. So yeah, I really believe she's one of the strongest and most powerful women in the Philippines today. And she's not stopping. So that's quite remarkable. Whether you love her or hate her, you have to give credit where credit is due. For me, you don't agree with her politics, you don't agree with what she's doing, you have to give credit where credit is due. She's not stopping, and I don't think she ever will. Even if I try to tell her slow down, she has her mind on the prize and she'll claim it. So if you said she was all praises for me, I'm extremely proud of her, and I, learned so much from her, and just really happy to be her husband, and proud to be her husband as well. I feel so blessed.
And na-mention mo nga Direk po na she's so powerful, di ba? May i-connect mo ba yung present position mo ngayon? Kasi sabi mo rin na she gets all the bashing now. May i-connect mo ba yan because you're close to the president and because of your political views, kaya mas dumadami yung bashers ni Toni ngayon?
To be honest, I cannot really find a correlation that people hate her because of her politics. And why? Because there's so many other people that support this administration that nobody seems to talk about. So why Toni? Why her?
Bakit kayong dalawa na?
Diba? There's many high-profile, right, people that support this administration, yet Toni pa rin they're picking on. So that's kind of the biggest question. I really don't know yet the answer to that. My only answer to that is you're just extremely relevant. That whatever you do, may nag-endorse siya ng isang product. The next week, 2 weeks, nobody, headlines, we should not do this, we should not do that. Why her? That has nothing to do with the president. As a matter of fact, she's not part of the administration, right? She hasn't been, except for her interview last September with the president, she hasn't really been, of course we were invited to a social event last Saturday for the tree lighting, but other than that, she's doing her own thing, and she's moved on. And I guess the people that still criticize her haven't yet, but I really feel 2023 they'll all move on and they'll just kind of, respectfully, give credit where credit is due. And if there's something I'm really proud about Toni, she's just owning it also. She's owning the moment. And she could have easily quit. She could have easily just said, I just want to be a mother. And she can, honestly, if she stops today, I think she'll be okay, we'll be okay. we don't need to be extremely this or extremely that. We're okay being comfortable. But she chooses to have a concert to be with you guys again. So, I mean, disagree with her, but again, outside looking in, she's amazing.
Kaya nga siya unbothered queen, di ba? Pero ikaw ba, Direk, merong so far, ano na yung sa mga bashing sa inyo, ano na yung most hurtful or naka-affect sa inyong mag-asawa?
Let's put it this way, to address the bashing. I find it unique because, of course, I get messages of that person you helped, that person, that film you produced, that person is saying this and that. But when I see them in public, they're not senses to me. So parang sinasabi ko, online, nag-ganon ka sa asawa ko, nag-ganon ka sa akin. Pero when I see them, oy, Direk, kumusta, how are you? So I thought, is it true? You really don't like me or what? So that's why I choose talaga. Honestly, I don't really believe it until it's maybe said to my face. Then maybe I can believe it. Na